Will Social Security be there for you? Now, I think that's a great question. A lot of people ask that question in my live courses, and people that come in to do planning with me even request that I leave Social Security out of the plan. That's how skeptical they are about it being ready and there for them. Now, it's a very good question. You hear a lot of skepticism on the news about whether Social Security is going to be solvent. A lot of political pundits are making comments about it, but I think to a large degree you're going to get the majority of your income payments that you should expect to receive in retirement. Now, why is that? That's because the current Social Security Trust Fund is expected to pay benefits until year 2033. Now, you might say, well, Spencer, that's not that far away, and I completely agree. However, if they only cut benefits, which I think is unreasonable because they're going to do a mixture of things when they try to make this more solvent. But if they only were to attack benefits, only cut benefits, then the trust fund, based on current revenues, would still pay 74% of the benefits until year 2090. Now that's quite a bit. So 74%, that's about 3/4 of your check until year 2090. Most of our retirements won't continue that long past that. We're probably not going to make it quite that long. So 3/4 of our check, worst case scenario, not bad in my opinion. So you're going to get quite a bit of it. But I think they're going to do a bit more adjustments than just cut benefits. And that's because I don't think it's politically feasible to just cut benefits. They're going to try to raise some taxes here and there, maybe delay the Social Security age that people can even start taking benefits, and cut some of the benefits. They could even go into debt, which is something that sometimes the government's okay with, but let's look at some of the other adjustments that they can make in regard to making Social Security a bit more solvent for you. So again, they could cut benefits, they could raise some type of taxes, and they can change a few more other things around as far as when you take and receive Social Security benefits. So if they only cut benefits, let's say you're supposed to get $2,000 a month at year 67. So they can make that $1,500 a month at 67. They can make it $1,800 a month at 67. So that would be cutting benefits. And they can do that for current retirees. They could do it for future retirees. I think if they did that, they would probably have a grandfathering in for current retirees. And you might see it more for a phased-in approach for future beneficiaries to have a reduced benefit amount. All right, so they could also change the 67 age. They could make it to where normal retirement age, which is right now 67, they could make normal retirement age up to 70. They could make late retirement age something like 75, and they could make the minimum that you could receive Social Security benefits, they could change that from 62 and move that up to something like 65. So instead of 62, 67, 70, you might have 65, 70, 75 or something like that. So that would make it a bit more solvent because people would have to work a bit longer and couldn't receive benefits until later in life, which would probably affect their overall amount of benefit payments that they're withdrawing from the system. In regard to raising taxes, there's about 3 different ways that the Social Security Administration could do this. The first is that they could raise taxes on people currently receiving Social Security. So in a few more lessons ahead, there's Social Security taxation. I kind of break down what happens there. But basically, some of your Social Security benefits are probably going to be taxable. They could change that to where most of them might be taxable, or all of them could be up to ordinary income tax. That's one thing they could do. Secondly, in regard to taxation, they could change the current percentage that people are paying into the system for, as in current workers are paying to Social Security. Right now that's 6.2% if you're an employee and your employer matches another 6.2%. So it's 12.4% of your income going into the Social Security Trust Fund. They could change that to be more like 15%. Thirdly, they could also raise the limit on how much of your income is subject to Social Security tax. So right now that limit's about $118,000, which means that if someone makes about $200,000 a year, then only the first $118,000 is subject to Social Security tax. So the other $82,000 that they're bringing in income doesn't have Social Security taxes withdrawn from it. So they could raise that limit to $140,000, $150,000, kind of in any number that made sense for the overall picture there. But the last thing I think they could do is a bit more obscure, and that's in regard to changing the cost of living adjustments for Social Security. So one great thing about Social Security income is that they have these cost of living adjustments, COLA, and sometimes these are meant to counteract the negative effects of inflation and allow your Social Security income to keep pace with inflation. Now that could be great, but it's a bit more obscure. So inflation is sometimes considered a hidden tax, and it's certainly more hidden than the outright taxes that we normally pay. And that may be something that's more palatable for the current politicians to maybe try to change the formula for cost of living adjustments, because it's not quite reducing benefits now, but it's somewhat tapering down future benefits. What I think is going to happen is a mixture of maybe all of these things. And that's kind of what they did last time. They were expecting to keep the system solvent for about 50 years. And that 50 years is going to be up in 2033, which is when the trust fund is supposed to be insolvent. So I think as we get closer to 2033, we're going to hear a lot more about making changes to Social Security to make it more solvent. But like I said, if no changes are made, you're still probably going to get 3/4 of your benefits. And I think that's a good thing. So don't be too skeptical about it, because I do think you're going to get a big chunk of the income. And this is very good income. It's kind of guaranteed income, kind of like a pension would be. And this is the type of income that you don't have to worry about what the market's doing. And the market's kind of moving around. You're having to pull from them, because Social Security checks coming in every single month. And that's a great source of retirement income. So I look forward to sharing more with you about Social Security in the coming lessons.